What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today combos and test hands for my updated Libromancer Mikanko deck profile for the post-Legacy of Destruction format. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh! Content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! That you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my uploads. We are currently working our way to the 2,000 subscriber benchmark, and I need your help to get there. So, Libromancer Mikanko is a deck list that I cooked up a while back, and it's been going through certain revisions up until the point we're at now, and it is a variant that specializes on the fact that Libromancer Fire happens to be a Cybers type monster. There's tons of cards in the Cybers world that this deck can easily abuse, and it kind of confuses me as to why a lot of Libromancer lists that I see don't take advantage of that, and they usually just play like your typical Ritual Doc Good Stuffs cards, and or go down your Archlord Christia Floodgate locks. And for me, that's just not fun. I like to tinker with stuff and push the boundaries of certain things. So this deck absolutely was a pure joy to build and play. And speaking of, I actually just took second place at my locals last week with this deck. Only not even losing, actually. It was a draw in the round against Branded. It was a smaller event, only 3 rounds. But my matchups were Snake Eye, Branded, and Labyrinth, respectively. I beat both Snake Eye and Lab, and then Branded, the match ended in a draw due to time. So I took second place as a result, so it wasn't 3 consecutive wins. But the deck was a blast to play, and I'm basically going to be here to show you some of the combos and some of the lines. The link for the deck profile will be below in the description, so if you want to watch the profile first, you can do that, or watch the profile after you check out the combos here. Whatever your preference is perfectly fine, but make sure you're subscribed if you're not, and like the video down below to keep helping out that algorithm, getting my video out there for more people to see. So, Libromancer Mikanko, we are going to go over a simple line here, which is the deck's normal summon of choice, in this case being Formid Skipper. This card is absolutely cracked. So we're going to do Formid Skipper, and honestly, it can be one of these 3 cards. It can be Geek Boy, it can be Fire, or it can also be, I guess, Signet Mining, assuming you have a discard, and even the Libromancer Field spell will also work as well. For this particular line. So it's obviously very consistent because all you need is Formid Skipper plus any of the aforementioned cards here, including Signet Mining, assuming you have a discard in hand. So it could be Formid plus any one of these 4 cards, which, to be fair, all these cards search each other for the most part, which makes it very consistent. So just for the purposes of this particular combo, let's just lead with Geek Boy here. So I'm going to show you a simple 2-card setup between Geek Boy and Skipper, and you're going to see how this particular hand here bridges not only into the Libromancer stuff, but also the Mikanko line as well. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon our Formid Skipper here, activate its effect to reveal a link monster in our extra deck, in this case being the Scareclaw Lightheart. And then if we link the Skipper off, his name, type, and attribute become the same as the link monster that was revealed, which for this, we're going to go ahead and link Skipper off. His name becomes a Scareclaw monster, which makes him a viable monster to be used as material for Lightheart. Then we're going to go ahead and chain block our effects here. We're going to go chain link 1 Skipper, chain link 2 Lightheart. That way, if they do have a hand trap like Ash, for example, they can only stop the Lightheart in this case, and that forces our Skipper to go through, which I really like. But obviously, this is just a 2-card test hand, so we're not going to be worrying about playing 3 hand traps right now. This is just to show you what this board is capable of. So we're going to go ahead and search the Lightheart. I'm sorry, use the search effect of Lightheart to grab Reichphobia. And then off Skipper, we are going to search for a level 5 or higher Cybers monster. Now, what's cool about Libromancers is they have a level 5 or higher Cybers monster in the form of Fire Burst. He's a Cybers ritual monster who's level 7, which makes him a valid target to be searched. Thus, now we have a ritual in hand to enable our Libromancer plays, which I think is really, really cool. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to activate the Reichphobia, allowing us to search for another card in our deck known as Visas Starfrost. Now, Starfrost in this deck not only serves as a really amazing extender, but he happens to be a level 6 tuner monster, which actually pairs quite nicely given that we do play a lot of level 3s in this deck. Given that Geek Boy himself is a 3 and so are the Mikankos, we're able to make some interesting level 9 synchros, or a interesting level 9 synchro, I should say. which is kind of how we'll be bridging into our Mikanko setups, which you'll see shortly. So now that we're at this juncture, we'll go Starfrost here, using Effect in hand to pop the Lightheart. And then because we have a Starfrost on field now, we'll go Lightheart effect to revive herself from the graveyard. A once per duel effect there. And now at this point, we can now go Geek Boy in the hand, revealing our ritual, special summoning out Geek Boy, and then trigger Geek Boy's effect to search on summon for a Libromancer spell card, of which we are going to be grabbing ourselves a copy of the Origin Story, and then we'll go activate Origin Story, which will set a Libromancer spell trap from our deck to our side of the field. So we're going to send the Reichphobia to grave because we're going to be setting first appearance, which is their field spell. Then we can activate the first appearance, getting us a search for a Libromancer monster, which will be fire. And now at this point, we have Starfrost, who's a level 6 tuner, and Geek Boy, who's a level 3 non-tuner. 6 and 3 are able to make 9. So we're going to go ahead and Synchro Summon here, using both of those as material to make our copy of Power Tool Braver Dragon, which activates his effect on summon to equip himself with up to 3 different equip spells from deck and or graveyard. And this is how we bridge into the Mikanko line, because we're going to equip Meo Washidori, and then we're also going to equip the Water Arabesque from our deck, in this case, to him as equips. Now you can choose to play additional equips in this deck that can equip to him, like I was testing with Axe of Fools in the main deck, but I was going for more of a consistency aspect or approach to the list, so I didn't want to be playing that many bricks. But you can kind of tinker with the equips in the decks to some degree, allowing you to toolbox into other stuff that he can basically bring out of the deck for all intents and purposes, which is pretty sick. But now that he's on the board here, what we can do at this point is go Arabesque effect to go ahead and special out a Mikanko from our deck. And then we'll bounce the previously equipped monster back to the hand, but in this case, since it's an extra deck card, it'll go to the extra deck. So it's more or less just a matter of how far we want to cook. I say let's go for a copy of Hare, the Sword Mikanko here, bouncing the Braver, and then because Braver's not on field, the Meo Wash falls off to the graveyard. Keep in mind that Arabesque is now equipped to Hare, so the Arabesque will stay on the field. But now that Hare is equipped with an equip card now, she can trigger her effect to search for a Mikanko equipped spell from the deck to her hand, which will be our copy of Fire Dance. And like I said, this deck, it's very, it's not telegraphed at all. Like, I'm almost positive that if I normal summon Formid Skipper and, like, you know, revealed the Scareclaw, like, the opponent had no clue that I'm playing, like, Mikanko in this deck, for example. So, like, it makes the, like, where to stop this deck very difficult for the opponent to figure out, because they're usually hand-trapping the wrong things. And that's actually how I was able to steal the win against Snake Eye. You know, obviously Snake Eye is the best deck in the room, and it just so happens that he was unfamiliar with not only Libromancer, but also Mikanko, and he just had no clue where to try to stop the deck. He was, you know, tossing hand traps at me, using his disruptions like Promethean Engrave, just at the absolute inopportune moments for him, which allowed me to kind of swing the game in my favor, simply because he was just uneducated about the matchup, which I don't blame him. I mean, there's not many people playing Libromancer or Mikanko for that matter, let alone a deck with them both in it collectively. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of the reason why I had so much success at my previous locals was partly due to the fact that not many people know what this deck does or how it works, which obviously led to my success. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, a win's a win in my book, and I still played out of my mind despite that, because Snake Eye is not a slouch of a deck. Obviously, it's not like I was playing against, you know, a bunch of, you know, F-tier deck lists. I mean, Snake Eye, Lab, and Branded combined are some of the best decks in this format, in my opinion. So it was pretty tough, but the fact that I was still able to walk away and take second place was really huge. But anyway, we're getting off subject here. Circling back to the combo, obviously at this point we have Fire Dance, Fire Burst, and Fire in the hand. So we're going to activate the effect of Libro Fire, revealing Fire Burst, which the opponent would have already known that we had. Special summoning Fire, triggering Fire effect to search for a monster, which will be our copy of Doombroker at this point. And another thing that I really like about this deck list too is the fact that all these lines, the deck is so non-linear that you're able to pivot into almost so many different lines. Like, obviously this is just one particular combo featuring Skipper plus Geek Boy, but even with that particular setup, Skipper and Geek Boy together, you could have went down so many different plays with just that setup alone, which, like I said, really makes the deck feel pretty insane in my opinion. So now that we're at this point here, There's a couple things we can figure out. Let's see here. So obviously the goal is to get to Doombroker because we want to ritual summon this and use this effect to set the trap. But we're going to take a quick look at our extra deck and see if there's anything that we can go into that would actually benefit us in this particular instance. That's interesting. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. We're going to take the Hare. Actually, no, I can't do that. No, I can. Sorry. Thinking on the fly. We're going to link off the Hare and the Lightheart to go ahead and make ourselves a copy of, if I could find it, of course, Security Dragon. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's just a generic Link 2, requiring just 2 monsters, and it's a light Cyberse effect monster, which is obviously really strong. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go linking off the Fire and Security, because Fire is a Fire Cyberse and Security is a light Cyberse. We're actually going to go up and link into our copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. Use Heat Soul's effect, paying 1,000 life points, getting a draw. Let's see what we get. And Ohime, that is obviously very cracked. And now we can kind of keep pushing at this point. So we can go Ohime effect in the hand, allowing us to use her effect to search for a Mikanko card, and then we discard a card at resolution. So what we're actually going to do here is we can set up something kind of cool. We're going to grab Huli, the Jewel Mikanko, from our deck, and then we're actually going to discard the Huli at resolution of Ohime effect. Now what that's going to do is, now that we have a Huli in grave, we can use the Male Washidori effect in the graveyard, targeting a Mikanko in our grave, which will be Huli in this case, and special summoning it and equipping the Male Wash to her. So we're going to special Huli, equipping Male Wash to Huli, which now that Huli's been equipped with an equip spell, we can trigger Huli's effect, and that will be to search out a Mikanko trap card, which in this case will be the Spirit Walk. Very awesome card here. And now we can go first appearance, using first appearance effect to ritual summon by tributing the Fire Burst in our hand and ritual summoning out Doombroker, and then we can go Doombroker's effect to go ahead and set a Libromancer trap from our deck, which will obviously be the Intervention. Very powerful trap card here. It's pretty much an Omni Negate plus a Monster Reborn built into one. And we can go ahead and set our copy of Spirit Walk, which is pretty much equips an opponent's monster to a Mikanko that we control. Which, to be fair, we still have Fire Dance in hand. We can actually go Fire Dance here and go ahead and equip our copy of Hare to it. Fire Dance allows us to special a Mikanko from grave and then equip it with the Fire Dance. We've already used Hare's effect this turn to search, but what we can do is on the opponent's turn, obviously once we use the Intervention, because we need to open up a available spell trap zone slot, we can go Spirit Walk, targeting an opponent's monster, and then we can equip it to the Hare we have here, which will trigger Hare's effect to get us another search on the opponent's turn for a Mikanko equip. Since we only play the one trap card through Huli, if we equip to Huli, we don't get that much value on subsequent turns, but with Hare, there's still more things we can search, like, for example, the Mikanko Reflection Rondo to our hand, giving us the ability to have a board breaker for the subsequent turn. And then obviously we still have Heat Soul out, which will give us a draw, plus the negation through Intervention. And you can kind of see like how this deck can easily steal games out of nowhere, especially with the Mikankos just doing that damage reflection gimmick similar to what Yubel decks like to do. So overall, it's a pretty fun deck to pilot. That, like I said, that was just a simple combo that I wanted to showcase for you guys, starting off originally like with Geek Boy and a Format Skipper, as crazy as that sounds. So now let's circle back briefly. I think in order to show you guys really what the deck can do is just to kind of do an actual test hand instead of, because there's so many different combos I could show you, but honestly to see it all come together is definitely a lot more special in my opinion. So let me just really quickly go ahead and pile shuffle here, and then we will cut to once I have the deck all shuffled. Alright, got the deck all pile shuffled and ready to go. We're just going to do a few more shuffles here. That way you guys know I'm not trying to stack the deck. Because again, another thing that this channel prides itself on, aside from the rogue content and casual content, is the fact that it's all real. I'm using real cards and just shuffling. Like I said, like there's no need for me to cheat or kind of make decks seem like they're better than what they actually are. This channel prides itself on that. Like this gives you the most honest, you know, vision of what the deck will play like. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut, and we're gonna play this out like we're going first, just to give you guys an idea of how this works. So if you're watching and you haven't subbed yet, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Help me out. And like I said, like the video as well. And the link for the deck profile is in the description below. If you also want to check that out, feel free to. So we have Preparation of Rites, Primitive Planet Reichphobia, Visa Starfrost, Libromancer Fire, and a Arahime, the Manifested Mikanko, here in our starting hands. So assuming we're going first, it kind of sucks that we drew the Starfrost, because now the Reichphobia doesn't really serve too much of a purpose. And it's funny that this happened, because I was actually considering possibly playing an actual Scareclaw Reichheart in the deck for this exact setup, because there was actually 2 separate times during the tournament, the locals I was at, I hard opened both Starfrost and Reich, and now it happens here again in the test hand. It's almost like these cards are just auto-glued to my hand, which kind of sucks, especially since they're one-ofs in a 50-card list, which blows my mind how often I draw them, but it's neither here nor there. The rest of the hand is still very much playable, and since we already have the Starfrost, you know, it's fine as an extender as well. So, we can do a couple of things here. We can start off by activating Preparation of Rites. Since the Reichphobia is dead, let's try to get ourselves plussed off of that. So what we're going to do here is, off Preparation of Rites, we're going to add Illusion of Chaos to our hand. Now, obviously, we're going to keep the Arahime in our hand hidden. There's no need to reveal unnecessary information. What we're going to do in order to jumpstart our Libro plays is we're going to reveal the Illusion of Chaos that the opponent already knows we have. That way we're a little coy about the contents of our hand, and we're not like divulging too much information for free. Obviously, allowing our opponents to get a better idea of what they need to hand trap. So we want to keep them in the dark a little bit if we can. But this goes back to, like, you know, player brain and stuff. Like it obviously, if you're more of a skilled pilot, you're able to kind of finesse a lot of things in your favor just because you're very familiar with the game. But anyway, so we're going to activate the effect of Libro Fire by revealing the Illusion of Chaos, like I mentioned. Then we're going to special summon the Fire, activate Fire effect to search for a Libromancer monster, in which case we'll be grabbing ourselves a copy of the geekiest of boys. And then at resolution of that, we will then go Geek Boy effect, revealing Chaos, special Geek Boy effect to search. Now what makes this interesting here is obviously the opponent knows that we have Illusion of Chaos. So let's say they had a hand trap in their hand. They know, obviously if they're an experienced player, that if they try to stop our Libro plays with a hand trap, we still have Illusion of Chaos at the bare minimum to extend, which leads us into Magician Souls, and then Souls can get us more free draws. This puts the opponent in a weird scenario where if they have a hand trap, they have to decide where if stopping the Libromancer line is more important, or if they want to hold that hand trap for like the Illusion of Chaos line. Because what happens is, now that they know we have Illusion of Chaos, they know that if we hand trap the Fire or the Geek Boy, we can still push through it with the help of Chaos into Souls and still be able to link into stuff. Especially in a post-game 1 scenario where now they know what deck we're on and they, like, you know, potentially saw us linking off into some crazy stuff game 1. That might make them second guess about where to hand trap us. So like I said, that's one of the things that I appreciate most about this particular deck, is the fact that it's not very easy to interact with in most cases, because you're constantly trying to think about so many different lines and worrying about so much. So now we're going to activate Origin Story. Keep in mind, as of right now, all they know, the only known card in the hand is Chaos. Like, we still have 3 other unknowns in our hand that they, you know, they don't know if that's extenders or engine or non-engine. The opponent, you know, is kind of playing a little bit blind to an extent. We're going to use Origin Story to set first appearance. Then we're going to activate first appearance, and that will allow us to search for a Libromancer monster, which in this case we'll go ahead and grab ourselves the Doom Broker since we don't have it yet. So I think, like I said, it's a really cool deck. Tons of fun to play, obviously. Since we hard open the Starfrost, honestly, this is where things can get a little interesting. Let's go Starfrost, popping Libromancer Fire, special out Starfrost, and then now at this point we can actually go Geek Boy and Starfrost, and let's go ahead and synchro into the Power Tool Braver like we had discussed in the combo. Now we get Braver effect. And like I said, this stuff comes out of like left field. Like there's no way your opponent sees this line coming because it's so unconventional. So we're going to take Water Arabesque, and we are also going to take Male Washidori, which are our only two legal targets for Braver Dragon's effect, at least in the list I'm playing currently. Equip those from our deck to the Braver Dragon here. And before we actually proceed any further, we're going to go Illusion of Chaos effect in the hand, revealing himself to search for a monster that is Dark Magician or mentions it in its text. This is how we get access to our Magician Souls. And then we have to take a card from our hand and place it on the top of the deck. Now, again, this circles back to not letting our opponent know what's in our hand. We don't have to reveal the card we put back on top. It just has to be any card. So we're actually going to take the illusion here and place it on top of the deck. Now, what makes this interesting is that when we activate Souls effects to special himself, we're going to pick up the deck and dump our other copy of illusion that we play, because we play two of it. That way it appears to the opponent that we still may have kept an illusion of chaos in the hand. Like, you know, the opponent thinks now, or they know now that we played two of it, but they could still be under the assumption that we, you know, kept the one in hand. They have no clue what we put back, basically, which makes them second guess even further. So special out our copy of Souls here. And now we're going to take advantage of this. We're going to go Souls, sending the Male Wash, since we already know it's going to fall off once we bounce the Braver with Arabesque. And we're going to send the Reichphobia to grave, since the Reichphobia serves no purpose at this point, since it's only there to serve as a searcher for Visas, and we hard open Visas anyway. We're going to try to draw two cards and see what we pull. So we pull Mikanko Fire Dance and another Preparation of Rites, which is honestly not bad, especially since Preparation of Rites is not a hard once. Crazy card. Now we're going to go Water Arabesque, specialing from our deck a Mikanko, which I think, for the purposes of this, we'll go for Huli here. Bounce the Power Tool Braver, and then Huli triggers searching us a Mikanko Trap, which will obviously be our Spirit Walk. Then what we can do now is we can actually go Preparation of Rites again. That will get us a search for our Ohime, the Manifested Mikanko, which is obviously very cool. And now, at resolution of that, we can go Ohime effect in the hand, revealing herself to search for a Mikanko card. And then we have to discard a card. So why don't we go ahead and grab ourselves a copy of... Let's grab Nini, the Mirror Mikanko here, actually, giving us even more disruption. And then we're going to actually discard the Nini. Now, the reason why we did that is because now we're going to use the graveyard effect of our Male Wash, targeting the Nini and special summoning the Nini. Now, Nini does not search on summon, or not on summon, excuse me. She does not search when she's equipped in the same way that Huli or Hare does. What Nini is that while she's equipped during the opponent's turn, she's a quick effect Snatch Steal, allowing us to target a monster they control and take control of it until the end phase. Very powerful effect, in my opinion, and rather underutilized, if I'm being totally honest, by a lot of players that I've seen play Mikanko. Some lists don't even run the Nini, but I still find that she has use, especially in the situations where you're hand trapped enough, where your line kind of gets snuffed out, and you're forced to like fall back on something. Nini's very great in those scenarios, in my opinion. But now what we can do is we can... It's actually quite a bit we can do here, if I'm being totally honest. Let's link off the Huli and the Souls. Obviously, Arabesque will fall off. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a copy of IP Masquerena. Put her in the extra zone up there. And now what we can do is we can go Libromancer First Appearance effect. We're going to Ritual Summon, tributing. Now we tribute the Arahime that was in our hand, and that allows us to Ritual Summon Doombroker. We can then go Doombroker effect, set ourselves a copy of the Trap Intervention from our deck, giving us a Omni Negation, which is obviously very strong. And now what we can do is we can go... We'll go Fire Dance. and go ahead and just revive our Huli, giving us that targeting protection. We can go ahead and set our Spirit Walk, have Ohime in hand for follow-up, and then we can actually pass our turn. Just run through the graveyard real fast, make sure we're not missing out on anything important. I think we're all good. Now, what's interesting is that through Nini's effect, which, like I said, she's a quick effect Snatch Steal, while she's equipped during the opponent's turn, whatever we take, we can use with the IP Masquerena to link off with, which is obviously very strong. And, you know, obviously through IP, we have access to some pretty interesting stuff like, you know, SP Little Knight, obviously, Deco Talker Heat Soul. Once we use the intervention, we usually bounce the Doombroker to our hand and revive the Fire. Fire triggers to search Agent, but Libro Fire plus IP allows us to make the Heat Soul, which gives us into another draw potentially. We can also try going into Link Mail Archfiend during the opponent's turn, which is a pretty strong setup too. There's a whole ton of slew of stuff that we can do, but this is just to give an example of what the deck plays like. Like I said, a ton of fun, you know, and like I said, the fact that we're still able to maintain Ohime in hand for follow-up, plus we have our Ohime engrave, which is really strong disruption, you know, being able to use her effect to equip to a monster and then bounce it during the end phase, while slow is still pretty strong and shouldn't be overlooked. And like I said, this is pretty much what the deck plays like, you know, and there's tons of other combos. I mean, I could sit here all day long. You know, I wasn't even able to get into like Cyber Sage setups, which allow us to like go into something like Cyber's Quantum Dragon by making Deceive Worm, you know, using Deceive Worm and Sage to synchro into this. We can also, if we really open like Cracked, we can even climb into stuff like the Firewall Dragon Singularity during the opponent's turn through the help of cards like IP, which is pretty strong and whatnot. But that's going to wrap it up for the combos and test hands. Like I said, this is just a quick video just to show you guys more or less what the deck actually plays like. And yeah, I mean, if you guys want to see more content with this particular list, then just let me know down in the comments. But I'm already cooking up lists for post Infinite Forbidden, which at time of recording should be like 4 or 5 weeks away. So we're just right around the corner of that core set being released. And when that core set comes out, there's tons of stuff that's going to be in there. I'm also really excited for Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge, which at time of recording comes out next week, or Friday of this coming week actually. And I have tons of content prepared for post battles as well as post info. So if you're not subscribed and you don't want to miss out, make sure you're subscribed, like the video and below, and let me know down in the comments what you think of my Libromancer Mikanko deck list. Like I said, the combos and stuff are pretty cool. It's just a fun deck, you know. I'm not saying it's the best deck in the room, but I did, like I said, go to my locals and actually took second place, you know, fighting decks like Snake Eye, Branded, and Lab, and I just had an absolute blast playing it. So let me know too, guys, if you see anything in the list. Like I said, profile link below. If you guys have any recommendations of cards I could maybe add. The only thing I would consider changing with this particular list, especially post like locals report, I guess, would be I would like to add more non-engine, because as of right now, the only non-engine we play are a playset of Ghost Mourner and a playset of Nibiru, the Primal Being. So it's only like 6 non-engine slots, which in my opinion obviously isn't enough, especially in a deck that plays 50 cards. But the deck kind of digs into itself so much sometimes that like it feels like I don't need them, because there were a lot of times during that tournament when I did have both of these in the hand as well, which helped out a ton, obviously. But yeah, outside of that, this is going to be Nick hitting that end phase. Like I said, make sure you're subbed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.